She was there half an hour ago. Just how far could have she gone? Jungkook was having a hard time working with his extremely intelligent team to track down a 10-year-old. The more time they looked for her, the more Vine was losing her senses. She was a mother after all. No matter how strong she was, she just wanted her daughter back at all costs. An hour, 2 hours, 5 hours passed by, and Vine lost her patience. She left the home and followed where Jungkook was in the base, trying to locate Melody's location, along with his team, while most of them were in the street searching every base of the enemy in case of abduction. Vine, give it to me. She entered the base and walked straight over to a computer, taking the place from an employee who couldn't reject. Jungkook came towards instantly. Her eyes were red, but more of angry. Why couldn't they find her? Jungkook, Ryan, you should have stayed home. You don't look alright. Ryan, I can't rest, Jungkook. My daughter is missing. I'll find her and bring her back. He closed his eyes and let her do whatever she wanted. She was experienced in this after all. They found a few clues, a few traces of her presence, and just when they think they are going to find her, the clues disappear again. No matter what they did, no matter how much they looked for her, it was like a ground ate her alive. Jungkook held wine in his arms after a whole night passed by. He was losing his senses as well. Melody was his only child too, a child he was forced to stay away from his whole life, but he needed to stay strong for Ryan. Jungkook, I will find her, no matter what it takes. He kissed her head, feeling so dejected now that she searched for Melody herself and didn't find any clue. Wine couldn't be comforted by Jungkook's word anymore. Jungkook walked over to couch and took a seat, keeping Wine in his embrace until she slept. He couldn't forgive himself for losing his child over his business. He felt like he failed as a father, while all he wanted was to keep his family safe. The search continued. They tried and tried, but couldn't find Melody at all. Those level of skills could be too helpful in business. If experienced men were unable to find a kid, Jungkook was sure as hell no amount of power could ever put his daughter in danger. It made Jungkook proud as a father, but it was also backfiring at him at the same time. He couldn't find her. No one was able to do that. The search continued for years. Ryan didn't let go of her daughter, even if 5 years had passed. It was after 5 years. The sky was filled with dark clouds. It was raining heavily. Jungkook stepped down his car as the lightning in the sky brightened it up for a moment before it was dark all over again. A guard held an umbrella up his head. As he looked at his mansion and an impostor standing before it, covered in hood from head to toe, all washed up in rain. The face was not visible. A ton of guards stood alert with their weapons out. No one knew how the impostor got inside the premises. Jungkook's mansion security was top notch. No enemy could ever infiltrate his space. Someone has crossed the gates. Face is not visible, but it could be only one person. He was told on a call 15 minutes ago. Jungkook stepped forward, out in the rain, moving the umbrella off him. Jungkook, Melody, he said and waited. No one moved until the imposter slowly removed their mask off their face. It was Melody indeed. Jungkook closed his eyes and Wine came running, who was asked to stay by the door until Jungkook returns. She took Melody in her embrace and cried out. A mother got her lost child back. She cried and kissed her daughter's head several times. Wine, where did you go leaving your mother like this? Never, never do this again. Jungkook, hey, he said softly, approaching his family. Melody was the first one to get in her father's arms, taking in his scent and feeling of home. Jungkook didn't pull away for a long time. He just couldn't. The family had a reunion before all of them went inside. Melody took a shower and now they sat in the lounge. She held a cup of hot chocolate made by her mother. Melody thought they would start asking her a whole lot of questions, but was surprised when her father came and first thing he did was apologize. Jungkook, I know you ran away on your own. I won't hold you accountable for that. I won't ask you questions unless you want to tell me yourself. I just want you to forgive your father. I'm sorry. I couldn't be a good dad for you. Melody, it's not your first time being a parent. You didn't have to be perfect. She was mature. She understood every action taken by her parents to keep her safe at the expense of their love. Melody, during my visits to psychologist, I met this boy once. He was my age and he was having issues related to violence. His desire to be violent and doing wrong was quite high, but somehow we ended up talking. He lived near the village. Sometimes, after Granny would sleep, we would meet and play in the fields. Melody. He said that's the only time he doesn't want to be violent, when he is with me. When I found out who my dad was, I couldn't think of anything else. I ran away. He was a genius like me. He was extremely good at hacking. One of my call, he came and I escaped with him. He took care of all the cameras. Melody, your team probably never thought someone messed with the cameras. Otherwise, I'm sure you would have found me. Vine, are you okay? Where did you stay all this time? Melody, I'm smart, more than my age. I was always told that, but I didn't experience the city life. I could not understand why people would commit suicide. The village was quite peaceful after all. If I stayed there, I knew I would never truly understand that. Melody. Jay was not rich. He had this little home more like a dump room in the basement of a very old rotten building. We stayed there, explored the city all nights, stole from people, ran away, laughed, got in trouble. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed being free. Jungkook smiled. He knew wherever she was, she would be safe. Jungkook, if you enjoyed, then it settles everything. You want to explore? That's rare people who get in this way. You're free, Melody. Nothing like this will ever happen again. Melody. I met different kind of people. I learned humans and their desire to lie, fraud, steal, murder, to gain power and money. I learned about you as well. You're pretty famous, you know. She looked at Vine with a teasing look. Who raised a bro? Vine. In what ways is your dad famous? Melody. Every place of crime, you would hear ladies talking about John Jungkook in terms of money, power, and how badly they want him. Jungkook, you are not supposed to reveal these things. He laughed awkwardly when Vine glared at him. He swore no other thing would scare him except that glare. Vine, you are wearing a mask every time you step out of home. Jungkook, it's not my fault. Hello? Melody, it is that. If you were not famous, they wouldn't know you. Jungkook, are you teaming up against me? He stood up, stepping back when Vine threw a cushion at him, and Melody laughed, clearly enjoying that. It was her first time, after all, being with her parents like this. Leaving home and finding life was the best decision of her life. Now that she understood word better, she could understand her parents and their painful decisions. She was glad having them as her parents. Vine, who was that boy? Where is he? Melody, that will stay a secret. She winked and stood up, running away, laughing, as her mother followed her around the whole home. Suddenly, a home, which was filled with cries and pain of losing a family, was filled with laughter and happiness.